My name is indeed Philip Rose. I'm the founder of FitThings. And with our startup, we make sure that our customers always have the right size box for the goods that they wish to ship. That means that we're mainly focused on e-commerce companies and SMEs in particular. Now, the way that we do that is by delivering a Slimbox to their warehouse. And I can understand if you start wondering, what is a Slimbox? Well, a Slimbox is a machine that cuts any kind of box with any kind of dimension from corrugated cardboard. So it can be any kind of model of box. Oh, sorry, you can't really see that because of the layer. Yeah, doesn't really work that way. Or any kind of size. So what needs to be done is the user only needs to enter the dimensions they need, the model that they would like to have, and out comes the box. It's that simple. Of course, it needs to be useful too. It's not just engineering. Thanks to our solution, what companies do is they drastically shrink their ecological footprint. Not only are they shipping a lot less air, which is useless, and in many cases, single-use plastic filler materials, all these plastic cushions that everybody knows when you order something online. But there's also a lot less corrugated cardboard used because, well, the boxes are smaller. On top of that, smaller parcels also mean that you can put more parcels in the same vehicle, transport vehicle, hence reducing also over time the amount of carbon emissions that are being exhausted. Now, besides the, sorry?
I have a quick question for you. The issue today is the air and the size of the box, or the weight of the box in the logistics? The
size and the air, yeah, and the filler materials and all the extras that you don't need actually.
Okay, thanks.
Now, besides the ecological aspects, there are also a lot of economical advantages. Just think of the cost of the boxes that drops because you don't need all to buy all sorts of boxes. You use a lot less warehouse because you only have standard corrugated cardboard. You don't need any filler materials anymore, etc., etc. But on top of that, in some countries, it's not everywhere, but in some countries, there is what is called the dimensional weight. Generally speaking, it simply means that the smaller the box is, the less you pay for transport. And at that point, it really becomes a very, very interesting solution. When we look at our SDGs, we're just as any other startup, I'm guessing, we're really trying to make a change in the world. But the way that we want to do it is by allowing companies to optimize the way that they're shipping their things. That means that we're focused on climate action and on responsible consumption and production. We wouldn't even exist if we wouldn't be doing for these goals. Our solution really helps reduce a lot of materials, but also allows companies to use 100% recyclable materials when shipping their goods. Corrugated can be recycled up to 7 times or even more. Of course, it doesn't end there. Though indirectly, I already mentioned it, we also make it possible to have less vehicles on the road, and that adds a little bit up to the sustainable cities and communities SDG. Over time, as more companies start using our solution, that impact could actually be significant. And because our customers have no need anymore for all these plastic filler materials, these single-use plastics, we hope to at least, well, not let the Pacific garbage patch in the ocean, not let it grow. We're certainly not Boy and Sled. We're not going to reduce the whole patch, but at least we're trying to eliminate a small part of the root cause of that patch.
Philip, I have a question. I think what we see here on the picture is a prototype, or do you already have them at companies? But my real question is actually, like, how many boxes does that create in 1 hour? Is that sufficient for, you know, a company that really has a high volume of boxes a day?
Yeah, and additionally, I would ask, where are you today in terms of sales and projects, etc.?
I'll get to that. I'll get to that. Well, I'll kind of jump to that. I'll see if I can fix it. Currently, we're in 12 different countries all over the world, including the United States. We have with our first version, which you can see here, which is, by the way, not a prototype. It's actually a machine that is being installed. We have paying customers, all that. The first machine we try to sell, and we're engineers, hardware engineers. So we're kind of nerdy about the machine, and we try to sell the machine, which obviously is not the best way to do it. Currently, we are working on what is called the Slimbox 2.0. It's a working title. It's the Slimbox 2.0. It's not only going faster. In order to answer your question, we're doing boxes at 30 seconds per one box per 30 seconds, which also means, and as I said in the beginning, we're mainly focused on e-commerces that are still SMEs. So the smaller ones that do somewhere, and it's a general term, somewhere between 30 and 300 boxes per day. That is where it becomes interesting. And instead of trying to sell the machine, which for these small companies is way too expensive, of course, we are now delivering it as a solution. We're actually renting out the machine or the total solution. We install the machine, we deliver the corrugated, and the only thing the customer needs to do is pay the monthly fee and press the right buttons to get out the boxes that they need. So the level to get into the whole setup is very, very little. We're talking about a few €100 in terms of risk that they take as a company, and so the way that they can test it out is just a few €100 that they can do. Let's see if I can get a bit back on my presentation. In terms of the market, maybe I could have a look at that.
The market is big, I'm sure, but your economics, how do they work? And you say 12 countries, so it means how many machines are operating today, or
we're a little under 100 machines today, but it's certainly not what we had hoped for. We had a wrong start. And then we started focusing too much on the machine rather than on sales. Again, we're nerds. We're kind of focused on that. But meanwhile, we really learned a lot. We also learned a lot from the market. We know what their pain is, where they need to be, what needs to be addressed, and how we can do that. And that's a big difference from what we used to do in the past.
Okay. How can we help?
Yeah, well, that's what I wanted to come to. Well, actually, as I said, we're working on that second model. It looks different from what you can see here. It's a bit bigger. It also has a different way of working, but because with that second model, we're also flipping that business model from selling the machine to renting out the solution. We are still struggling with setting up a total cost of ownership model, because we all know that companies really like being green and saying, hey, we're very green, but eventually, and certainly in a market where the margins are so thin, we really want to show them that getting on board with us also helps them get a better revenue, a better margin, have more over to invest in their own companies or grow, or whatever they want to do with that. That is where I think BrightWolves could really help us figuring out those numbers, working together with us. We already have quite some data, but there's a lot more to it, and we don't have the big experience in that, and that's where I'm kind of hoping that you do.
Just a quick question: you are cutting using a CO2 laser inside the machine?
That is correct. Yeah.
So you could even do the marking on top.
Yep, I can maybe. Yeah, you can see it a little bit. We can actually put text in there. Yeah, sorry about that. We can actually put text in there, or whatever drawing that you can come up with your hands. It doesn't matter. They can put whatever in there. So that is an I didn't talk about that, but that's actually an added value for marketing, and we're not saying that out loud too much, because we know that that's not the focus of the companies that we're targeting. But if we are looking at companies that are doing less than 30 boxes per day, it all of a sudden is not a solution for their shipping, which it still is, of course, but it's actually a marketing tool, and they can really personalize the things that they're shipping, and then it becomes interesting, of course.
And you don't use any ink, and you don't use any label.
No, it's all just corrugated and some power for the machine. That's it. I don't know if there's
any other
question
else from the team.
I have maybe a question. How many boxes do I have to make to compensate the ecological impact of one Slimbox? Have you ever made that exercise?
Well, we're actually starting on a project with some people from TU Delft who are going to help us calculate that, because we are also interested. What I had written down in my presentation is that we really like the SDGs, but we're seeing them not so much as kind of a pissing contest with other companies and saying, okay, these are the numbers, because nobody can really calculate that, or it's a very, very hard exercise. We actually see them as values. So nonetheless, we want to give it a try to figure out how many boxes do we need to make before the impact is lowered. I can't tell today. That's it's impossible. One of the things, sorry for interrupting. One of the things that may be important to know is, from a hardware perspective, because we're renting them out, the machines stay our property. And in that situation, you're making hardware that lasts forever. You're building hardware that you, when it breaks down somewhere, you're repairing it, you're not replacing it. And that is something which will help drastically reduce the whole footprint of building such a machine too.
The only tricky part is the XY table inside. That's it.
Sorry?
The only tricky part is the XY table inside the machine. The rest
mainly it's patented technology, but it's not a real table. But indeed, mainly that is one of the complex things. That in combination with the software, of course. The software is really complex. It's trying to make a box a bit bigger. It sounds so stupid, but it's rather complex in terms of calculations.
And they have to use your carton. It cannot be any carton.
Well, we're pushing it out because we have a good solution for that, and we can deliver very fast, but it's not a necessity. So if people say we have a supplier, okay, no problem, you're good to go.
They have to avoid any PVC or stuff like that. That might be dangerous. Yeah.
Correct. PVC, absolutely not. That's toxic. But we're trying to. So if they put other materials in there, they will break the warranty, of course, because that is not allowed today. Even though it's technically possible for many materials like MDF or certain types of wood, certain types of plastic, but that's not the goal of the machine. So we're not focused on that. Maybe later, but today our focus is absolutely on, removing air from boxes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Philippe, thanks a lot. This is the end of the 15 minutes. Thanks a lot for your great pitch. I will ask the jury to go in the jury's hall and bring the next participant. Thank you, Philippe.
Thank you.